Greetings folks, Steve here, and this week what we have planned is we are putting some upgraded injectors in the Lexus. The Lexus is going to be receiving some 1200cc injectors. For one, so that we can switch over to E85, and two, obviously we want to turn the power up. And so to do both of these things, we're going to need a lot more fuel system. So we did go to some big boy injectors. I just got finished popping them into the car, but was not able to actually complete the task because the injectors stand just a little bit taller than our original EV14 Corvette injectors. So I had to go to a couple of parts stores, or not parts stores actually, a couple of hardware stores to find these really long special bolts, but I think I got it figured out. I found what I needed. So now we can finish the install. So what I'm gonna be covering right now is just the basics of upgrading fuel injectors when you have a standalone ECM, specifically the Mega Squirt or Micro Squirt. So obviously physically swapping out the injectors is only part of the challenge. If you don't tell the computer the new flow settings, basically it's gonna start letting way too much fuel flow way too quickly. When modifying a car, nothing ever fits. Like, this is totally normal. You don't ever plan to grab some new injectors, throw them in the car, and then drive to work in an hour. You know, that is not how this goes. So I've just had to figure out all kinds of crap to find a solution that hopefully will even work. I'm just pulling up to the house now. So I'm gonna see if my longer bolts and improvised spacing devices are going to help. And then if we can get this thing bolted down so the injectors don't just pop out of the damn thing, then we're gonna start tuning for the 1200cc injectors. All right, so I just got the new injectors installed, and what I'm gonna do now is hook up without changing the tune at all here. We're just gonna go straight into our basic settings, engine and sequential settings. And in here, this is where it kind of gets the basic idea of how it needs to calculate fuel. So you'll see down here at the bottom, it says injector size 650. So we're gonna go ahead and just change that to 1200. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and burn in the 1200. It's gonna want me to cycle the ignition. So go off, back on. Okay, sound like everything primed up pretty good. So then we'll go into our fuel injector dead time. And so it's asking injector dead time at 13.2 volts in milliseconds. So that is something we can find from our injector sheet, data sheet. So I've yet to figure out if this is actually gonna be helpful advice, but when I did the Corvette injectors in the first place, you'll see I have a second green O-ring under my main injector O-ring. That's because these things kept leaking every time I would install them, and I have the same problem with my new injectors where they leak like crazy out of the top. So all I'm doing right now is I'm trying to fix it the same way I did last time, install the little small green O-ring. It's just a little skinny guy. Here, I'll show you what it looks like. So it's just a little skinny O-ring like this, and all I do is I install it to the injector up at the top. Like that, and then I install the 14mm injector O-ring on top of it. So now, the green O-ring's not under, it's not like between the O-ring and the injector, it goes below it. And my theory before was that it would just keep that upper ring from being able to spread as much so that it fits a little tighter in the hole. And this worked great on the old style injectors, and let's see if this same technique works on these, because I can't believe these damn things leaked. I wasn't surprised those leaked because they were a little bit different in diameter. But these are actually 14mm style injectors. I don't know why they're leaking in this fuel rail, but we're gonna see if this will take care of it. Let me do the other 5, and then we'll see if we fix the leak. All right, so this has been a huge ordeal. I finally fixed the leaks. It was a total pain in the ass. This fuel rail is so hard to get off. Anyway, where were we? So we're set our dead time up. Injector dead time at 13.2 volts. We can see on here, injector dead time at 13 volts is 1.04. 1.04. All right. 1.04. All right. Burn it. Bam. All right. So now it knows we have big injectors and it knows what our dead times are. So we should be able to start this thing up. Let's see if it starts. My battery's probably dead, so we'll see how that goes. All right, we're running. And car looks to start adjusting the fuel table. Real rich. So I'm just gonna grab all these. I'm gonna subtract 10. And you can hear it sounding better. Subtract another 10. Alright, coming back. Subtract another 10. Hey, now we're off of that. Now we're off of the 10. Alright, so how many 10s did I subtract? 3, give or take. So now I'm just gonna grab this freaking map, everything up here, and I'm gonna subtract 30 right off the bat. I'm gonna grab all this, do the same thing. So basically, we're just kind of making the same changes to the whole map that we made to get the idle right, because that's gonna get us pretty close. So bam, already. Damn it, mother went back to lambda. God, it's annoying. Alright, so already we got our map pretty close. So let's go see if we have any leaks, and if we don't, then we can assume we'll be pretty close. So yeah, so the fact that nothing crazy happens when you turn the headlights on and off means our dead time must be pretty close to good. And oops. And that's pretty much all we have to do there. Alright, cool. So that'll be good enough to get it running and driving. And now what I'm gonna do next is drain all this fuel out and fill it up full of the 5 gallons of E85 that I have in the truck. And then what we have to do from there is actually super easy. All right, so this 1 hour job has turned into a 4 hour job. Started this at about 6:30 and it's now 10:30. But the injectors are on, they're not leaking. I don't love it. I want to put one more little spacer in the little mounting bolt, but it's all together, it's holding down. I'll be able to drive it onto the trailer. We'll load it up tomorrow, work a full day, and then as soon as we get off work, I'm gonna add a couple washers to the fuel rail mounting brackets. I just don't like, it's kind of like the rail's kind of pinned against the injectors right now. It needs the right amount of spacer so that when you torque down the mounting bolts, the rail's just solid against the bolts, not squeezing the injectors. So I'm gonna tidy that up tomorrow, which is probably gonna be a huge pain in the ass, but I wanna do that before we get to the track and start spewing fuel everywhere. But we'll see you tomorrow after we get off of work, and then we'll be heading to I-30. Ooh, baby, it's her first corn drink. Ooh. Oh, it's different game now, baby.
She likes it.
And it smells so good when she's running. So we got the car all gassed up with E85. Behind the scenes, I did make some quick little highway pulls, just make sure that the fuel map passes the sanity test. I don't know that it's great, but I just know that it's not gonna be super lean. So we still are gonna have to dial it in. We have a ton of injector now, so fuel delivery is not gonna be a problem unless we run out of pump, but we'll be able to tell that that's happening by just monitoring the duty cycle in the Mega Squirt. So that's the plan tonight. Make some clean A to B passes and practice using the nitrous, get Matt a little bit more seat time using the trans brake and such, and just try to, you know, do the deal. It's gonna be a good night. We're gonna eat some track burgers. It's gonna be a good time. We'll see you there. All right, baby, we're out here at I-30 Dragway now. We got old Lexi over here off the trailer and just kind of checked a couple things out on the tune. Really nothing else to do here except send it and see what our fuel map looks like. It's pretty untested. So changing the E85 didn't really change the fuel map much, but I had to rescale it because we're gonna be trying to run more boost tonight. So we have to make sure that the scaling, scaled cells are all still gonna be good. So we're gonna go ahead and just make a pull and see what happens. We got the 75 shot on, bottles opened up, and we're gonna see what she does tonight. Some adjustment, but it was pulling good. It felt smooth. Really pretty clean. I don't know what kind of time it ran. felt smooth. I mean, it was a good, just get it going and give her hell. This guy left right on the light. I'm not really worried about the light. We got full tree right now, and we're just trying to get up in stage and let the nitrous come on and make a little power before we launch, and just try to get a good number. We're gonna need to add some fuel for sure. Thank you. Holy shit, is that right? Oh. That was the left lane, right? Yeah. Holy shit, I just ran a 766, 172 60 foot, 89.6 miles an hour. We picked up 3 miles an hour just from changing fuels. I haven't changed the tune at all. I mean, I added 3 degrees. Okay, so I did. I added 3 degrees for the E85 change, because the E85 likes, needs a little bit more timing. And so I added 3 degrees. 60 foot was decent, but not anything crazy. 766, baby. New personal best speed, new personal best mile an hour just from switching fuels. Now I'm gonna go back and look at the log. I know we ran a little bit lean. Honestly, I probably should have came off the throttle. We were running about 0.9 lambda, and that's a little lean. That's a little leaner than we like. That's probably like a 13.5 AFR. I don't like that, but we're still a pretty low boost. So I'm gonna go ahead and make some quick tweaks, and we're gonna be able to make some more power tonight for sure. All right, baby, pass number 2. We've had some weird stuff going on with the laptop. I don't know if I'm gonna get to make a full pass here.
Your right tire smoked a lot more. Think you're good?
I think it'll be okay.
It's on wastegate right now, like 13, 14 pounds. Oh, yeah. We just sprayed it last week, so we're working on it.
Like a son of a bitch. Yeah, I got a little lean, which is to be expected. I mean, I basically had to rebuild the whole map. So the problem was, typically in my data log app, I can make changes to the tune looking at the data log and then save them to the Tuner Studios. But for some reason, when I'm doing that, it's changing a bunch of the map up. It's not, man, it's weird. It's totally like undoing things that I'm doing. I've had to change the rev limiter a couple of times. It keeps changing back. The fuel map has been going totally wonky. So I'm not sure what's going on, but now I'm just manually tuning everything in Tuner Studios and using the data log for reference. Thank you. Yeah. And we just, basically the first pass was a loss. I had to lift on that one because we started getting a little too lean. Nothing crazy, but it definitely went a little lean. So we're gonna make some adjustments, give it a quick cool down this time. I don't need another hour. And then we'll have Matt take a pass in it and see if it's gonna A to B a little better. The nitrous is freaking working like it should. So that pass was a, so that was a 799 still, 1.8 60 foot. And that was lifting. That was a 7.9 at 78 miles an hour. And I lifted twice just because the AFRs got real lean. It seemed like it's kind of fixing itself, but by then I was already off the throttle. So cool. So we'll use that as a data pass, make some more changes to it, and try again. All right, so the car is giving us some tuning fits. It just seems to be randomly needing more fuel constantly. We just keep adjusting it. I don't see anything wrong with it. Everything seems to be working fine. Damn. Holy shit. I'm spinning on this one. Alright, we're going up against this old pickup.
too. That felt good. I did note the AFR is going a little, and now it's out of lambda again. It was in lambda. I saw it creep right about to the 9.1 mark, I think, right when I was about to cross the line. Other than that, I mean, I made a couple glances at it. I didn't see a whole lot. I was just kind of trying to focus on getting down the track, but it felt good. So I guess let's see. I kind of just sat at the line. I wanted to build a little bit more boost, so I wasn't really too worried about, you know, the run against this guy. I'm just kind of trying to still feel the car out, you know, especially just with everything wacky we got going on right now, so. Freaking roasted the tires. Yeah, man, I think that's gonna do it for us. It's just getting a little too late. The car is fighting us tooth and nail, and I don't even know why. I just can't understand why the tune is being so dynamic. It's just not being locked in, and now all of a sudden I'm on 255% VE on the table, and it won't let me go any higher than that. And I'm just not sure why. I mean, 255 seems high, but I don't know why it is. I mean, it's a challenging night. I don't really feel like we accomplished anything. We ran a personal best right off the bat, and then it's just been nothing but struggle city ever since. I ran an 8.8, 2.2 60 foot, 88 miles an hour. I mean, our mile an hour is there. The AFRs look pretty good. Honestly, that would have been a really good pass if it would have kept traction, but that was my fault. I tried power braking it and then sliding into the second bulbs and getting on the trans brake, and the nitrous came on, and I let slack get in the drive line. And I just was sitting there just on just the brake, like rocking back and forth on the brake. And then I just dumped the button and it just blew the wheels off. But AFRs looked really good. I bet if we stayed and made another pass, it'd be a good one. I'm considering it. I know Matt's ready to go. It's 10:30 right now. We have to work in the morning. And Matt's been working. Matt didn't take a day off this week because he's having to fill in for someone. Oh, well, let's see. All right, so that's gonna wrap up another week of racing. We did a little bit of good.
Yeah, a little bit of good, a little bit of mediocre. We got a personal best first right off the trailer. Barely any changes except just switch over to injectors and go to E. And then from there, I'm not sure what kind of issues we're running into right now. It's definitely, I think it's gonna come down to something probably software related to start with, because we're having some trouble with our tuner studio stuff. And you know, other than that, I mean, we still have some wacky stuff to work out.
Yeah, the laptop's just, the car's not responding to the changes we're making on the laptop like I expected to. It seems to keep wanting more fuel, but I'm adding so much to the VE table.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's going to come down to our injector selection in the general settings or dead times or something like that. I'm just probably going to have to experiment with it a little more.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm back at the house now. I got the front bumper and the intercooler removed from the Lexus because we had some leaks coming from our transmission cooler hoses. Started leaking when we first got to the track. We were able to just tighten up the clamp and seal it up, but then when I got it home, the next day I noticed a bunch of fluid dripping underneath it. So I'm gonna be replacing those hoses with PTFE, which is what we really should have used in the first place. But also, I do think I found the cause of our tuning issues that we were having. The car just seemed to be running lean no matter what I was doing. And what I figured out and what I think is actually the repair for this is that I took the wrong method to adjusting the fuel system or the fuel map for the E85. So whenever you make the change to E85, you want to add 30% more fuel. And the way that I did it with the Z was I just put 30% more across the whole fuel map, and that was like perfect. I really didn't have to change anything else. So I tried that on this one, but what that did was it put my cells at too great of a value. So the cells on the fuel map will only go up to 255, and they will not go higher than that. And that explains why I was struggling whenever I was adjusting in the data log settings, and it would save to Tuner Studios. It was saving just like weird values that I wasn't putting in those places. It's because it was trying to go over 255% VE. So here's how I fixed that. So the correct way to adjust for a fuel change, like going to E85, is we're gonna find it here in our basic settings. We're gonna go engine and sequential settings. And in here is where I had changed it to 1200 cc injectors. And I thought that was sufficient for Tuner Studios or the Megasquirt to figure out what it needs to do. But actually what I needed to do also is go into my required fuel tab right here. In here, this is really where the calculations take place, just like the basic setup. So you can see we have our engine displacement, number of cylinders, injector flow. But down here, air-fuel ratio, this is telling the Megasquirt what Stoich is for the fuel that we're using. So this was at 14.6 before because we were using regular gasoline. Well, E85 has a much different air-to-fuel ratio for stoichiometry, or for stoichiometric efficiency. So we changed our Stoich to a 9.6 to 1, which is the normal air-fuel ratio for optimal burning for an E85 system. And after doing that, I was able to just go right back to the same table that I had before we made the switch. So this is the exact same table we had when we were running gasoline. I didn't have to add anything to these values. By changing the stoichiometry setting and the injector size, we're using the exact same table and the car's running so much better. And so now up at top, we're only at 170 at the highest point instead of 255. So that should take care of it. I have yet to drive the car because it started pissing transmission fluid all over the place, but I can tell just by running it and idling it and kind of smacking the throttle a couple times that it's way happier this way. And I didn't have to go through and change all these numbers up. So it's definitely gonna still need some street pulls to get it all where it needs to be, but we're way closer now. We sorted out that issue. And next week when we're at the track, we should be able to send it a little harder and start jacking up the boost pressure. We ran multiple 7s tonight.
Yeah.
And our last best track day, we ran 1.7 and several 8.0. So
and with a new personal best tonight too, 778, right?
766.
766.
But it's going to keep getting faster and faster. I definitely see this car being a consistent 6-second car.
Yeah, definitely.
Already.
In the near future.
It's already just been...
In the very near future.
We're not even pushing it yet.
Yeah.
And that's where we're at. Yeah. But still on wastegate, running 766s. That's an excellent sign.
That's nothing to shake
full interior, full weight. That's crazy. So anyway, that's going to do it for this week. Next week, we're going to be back at it. We might be on the quarter mile next week. That's going to do it for this week. So we'll see you next week. Like and subscribe. We'll see you later.